Coming to you live with your host for tonight, Mr. Barth Kimball. Tonight, Barth's guest will be Mr. Martin Worth, who went to San Francisco and lived to talk about it. Ms. Susan Cloud, who shows you how to eat your own wrappings. Mr. Earl Simmons, with the truth about Richard Nixon's sweaty lip. And Happy Kind and the Mirth Makers. And me, I'm Jerry Hubbard. And now here's your host and mine, Mr. Barth Kimball.
Thank you very, very much, and welcome to Fernwood tonight. As he put it so beautifully, I am Barth Kimball. Thank you. I've been getting kind of, I guess controversial, you'd have to say, the past few nights, and it seems to have struck a nerve with a lot of you Nielsen families. You know, some of my ex-friends down in Miami get, well, pretty smug, really, about small-town America. They say things like, "Hey, Barth, you're crazy to want to do relevant, hard-hitting television in a one-horse Duckburg like Fernwood. Why don't you just stay here in Miami and get a good lawyer?" Well, as it turns out, the laugh is on that Miami crowd. Because you Fernwood folks seem to be taking this hard-hitting approach of mine just fine. So if you want a crusading Barth Kimball, that's the Barth Kimball you're going to get. Okay? Fair enough. Now, case in point, I was spending a lot of time today going around town trying to locate a Porsche dealership. And in the process, I happened to hear a lot of people blowing some steam through their whistles about this federal court order that Fernwood has to integrate its schools. And something one gentleman said at the dry cleaners really rang true to me. What he said was, very simply, how are we supposed to integrate our schools when we don't have any Negroes in town? Okay. Anyway, he cut right to the heart of a major problem in our community, I think, and rather than do like so many entertainers, just, shrug my shoulders and sit on my hands, therefore running the risk of severe back problems later in life, I've decided to do my part to help our town out of this thorny little batch of quicksand. What I'd like to do is actually just issue an open invitation to the black parent who may be watching this program in another locality. Why not get in touch with us? If that child is more than an hour away, maybe we'll start a foster Negro program where some childless parents here in town would take the youngster into their home for a year. You could learn his culture, and he could learn yours. It could be so wonderful. Speaking of basketball, I've started the ball rolling, or dribbling as the case may be. Now it's time, I think, to get called for traveling. Let's find a black person with exact fare and get him on our bus. The number to call is 555-5624 to bring a Negro to Fernwood. That's 555-5624. Hope we can work this out. Hello, Jerry.
Well put, controversial, but well put.
Well, we're trying to get in there.
You know, it may be difficult to find a young Negro child who might want to get voluntarily on a bus and come here. The alternative might be to find one who has maybe committed some crime and owes the state some time, and they force him over here as part of his rehabilitation, unless, of course, the courts rule that as cruel and unusual punishment.
I think they might be, yeah. Our first guest teaches history and English literature here at Dwight D. Eisenhower School.
Ah, speaking of the school district, eh?
Mm-hmm. There we are again. See, it's all themes.
Uh-huh.
He has combined his specialties to come up with a sort of free-form poem about that great piece of American history that we know as, dare I say it, Watergate.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
More controversy.
Really. For those of you who rely on the Fernwood Courier to keep you up to date with the news of the world, suffice it to say that a couple of years ago, there was this place called Watergate, where a bunch of people got in, well, some real hot water. And it was a mess for several months. I think it was...
And yes, I understand they've written quite a book about it, and they're going to make a film out of it and call it, I think, All the President's Friends.
No, Jerry, it's Men.
Right, All the President's Men Friends. That makes sense. What decent girl would want to hang around a president who curses and swears like that? You remember all about those expletives diluted. I believe that was the term. Anyway, I think there is a film in the works.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is.
And I think they're trying to get Robert Redford for the leading role.
Jerry, the film is out.
It is.
It's called All the President's Men, and Robert Redford did get the leading role.
He did? Well, that's Hollywood for you. You know, I wouldn't have chosen him. He doesn't look a thing like Nixon to me. It'll be here in Fernwood soon.
Within the year.
And I'll be lining up with my dollar.
That's good news. At any rate, this school teacher was a student in California during the days of the flower children. I think you've all heard about that, you know, Haight-Ashbury, etc. And back there, he used to recite his poetry in coffee houses with a jazz flautist behind him. That's the correct term. Flutist isn't. It's flautist. His jazz flutist is not here tonight. He is actually not able to cross state lines for another 18 months. But we have supplied the services of Happy Kine, our own band leader here, and he'll be playing jazz violin. So here with the... That's right. Sounds like a contradiction in terms, doesn't it? It's Bob Hope Special. That's a contradiction in terms. So here with the Ballad of Watergate is Fernwood's school-teaching poet, Mr. Martin Worth.
The late, great Watergate hates spate, or sticks Hicks, fix the nicks. The judge was stricken with a heart attack, but Gordon was strong, even though he saw Robert flinch and heard the rabbi cough. His job came in the woods from Rosemary, who said John Dean know anything. But his wife knew Mo. Then Martha. Mitchell get you in trouble. Unless you lock yourself in the John with the sand, Mitchell keep you happy. And how Ward hunted for one, saying, "Gee, Lord," and giddy as he was. I'm no saint, Bernard said, though I am a barker. But I swear James came of his own McCord. That was no jeb for Stuart. He was Magruder than he should have been. Asking where the HR hold him in. And Alexander, what the Hague is going on? As Sam dashed across the corridor and saw Henry kissing her hand. I heard Fred buzz hard, but no one was there. Mel aired his views, but right or wrong, Ziegler banged into Leon's jaw. Worski fighting? Or what? And Irvin, if he was, what's Sam matter? After all, Eliot's rich, hard son wanted to work for Archibald in the whole Nixon thing.
Well, it's good to have a little culture on the show. Whose idea was this? In fact, how did you get on the show?
Well, I had the birth of a notion back in school. See, I teach English and history to kids who are young and easily frightened, and I wanted to combine both of my interests.
Thank you very much. All I can say is nice try. We'll be right back after these important words. No more. Before I introduce our next guest, you know, I'd like to invite Happy Kine over here from Happy Kine, the Mirth Makers. Why don't you come on over here, okay? Well, you played some pretty good violin there behind Martin. I didn't know you could do that.
Oh, it wasn't that good.
I know. Happy, as you may or may not know, operates a chain of fast food restaurants in the Tri-County area here called the Bun and Run. And Happy, I think you might be interested in our next guest. You've met her before. She's the owner and operator of Fernwood's most exciting new restaurant in years. It's called the Butterfly Deli. It's really kind of a revolutionary idea for Fernwood because of two reasons. Number one, they serve only natural foods, organically grown. You might want to see that. And B, it stays open past 9 o'clock at night, which is kind of unusual for Fernwood. Please welcome Miss Susan Cloud.
like always good to be here.
Make yourself at home, lotus position, whatever's best.
I like can't cross my legs.
Oh, we won't go into why. Susan, I understand you're adding sort of a new wrinkle to your restaurant. Is that true?
Well, Barth, I wouldn't like really call it a wrinkle, you know? I'd call it like a beauty mark on the face of good eating.
Oh.
You know? I feel like, well, like when I saw the karmic success of Happy's Bun and Run fast foods, you know, and like the financial overtones which this universally implies, you know. We like got hip at the Butterfly Deli, and we like picked up on it and got flexible, and now we have our own organic takeout section.
Wow.
Yeah, we like flashed on Happy's vibe, so we're like calling our place the Mung and Run. Yeah, this week we're featuring a new zucchini burger called the Big Zook.
Yep, the big soup.
Yeah, it's like 2 all zucchini patties, special herb sauce, lettuce, bean sprouts, and onion on a soybean bun.
Couldn't do better than that.
Yeah, it's like good.
Well, that's what we're hoping.
Yeah, me too. You know, because like we're open really late. See, we cater to those people who are like under the influence of some mystical, organic, mind-expanding sort of herbs. They like, they like get the munchies and they like to eat in their car.
Not really the kind of thing we find in ketchup.
And like, I figure, you know, it's cool to have a good time when you're big, but like, what do you do in the meantime besides like just getting up there?
Are people reacting to your organic foods, foods are less mellow than they're used to Happy's food? Are they reacting in a funny way to yours?
Well, they're like humorous, but they're reacting basically well. You know, they miss those chemical additives that they get at Happy's.
You bet.
So, like, I have little shakers on the counter with, like, you know, the chemicals that are necessary to get you through a day. Like, you have to have your daily letter requirement. So I have, like, MSG and BHT and, like, DES. And then, like, saccharin if you have, like, a phony sweet tooth or something. And cyclamates in case
Things we become used to.
Absolutely.
Right. And,
You're sort of sticking my proof in your pudding, the way it sounds here. I mean, we use all those things all the time. Why are you stealing those things from us?
I'm like just borrowing them. They'll be back.
They'll come on. They'll be right back. Those very ones will probably be back in circulation before you know it.
Right, but you know, like I make a heavy statement with mine. I've like painted a little skull and crossbones on the shakers, you know? It's
You
like...
ought to do that on your wrappers, Happy. I've had one of your jumbo burgers, and they can really kill your appetite. And not only that, you got to speak to your waitresses the way they handle the orders. A friend of mine and I went in for lunch the other day, and the waitress kept calling back, your hamburgers will be coming up shortly. I think it was just a poor choice of words. And because every time she yelled it, everyone in the restaurant looked a little aghast.
We have one of the nicest kitchens in town. It's small, but it's mighty, and we go by government standards. In fact, we want to exceed government standards. If you look down the list of what you can put in a hamburger, they say 30% fat. Now, we're willing to exceed that, but the government keeps us from going into that 30%.
You would be willing to go 40, 50%.
We would love to, but
Go
we
as high as
can't.
80.
That shows you what kind of a government we got. The other 50% that we put in it is non-meat products, and the other 20% are disclaimers. And believe me, anybody that comes to the Bun and Run and goes out with one of our jumbo runner bunner hamburgers knows what he's getting.
Or the jumbo runner bunner with cheese, which is even quite something. As you say, they do know what they're getting, and I think you stated pretty clearly right with your motto over the door, which is, if you've been down there, it says, it's not dinner, it's just fun.
Yes, that's true. No, but you may kid around about it and everything, but I've been in the fast food business for many a moon, and this little lady here, Miss Cloud, she's got a long way to go before she proves her point. That's true. And I know that some of the guys, some of the customers I've heard that have been down to Miss Cloud's place and tasted her food, checked it out, they said that a lot of this organic business that she serves tastes like kitty litter with raisins.
That was like my special last Tuesday.
I think there's room and Fernwood for the friendly fast food rivalry? I think so, don't you? On the one hand, you have Happy Kind over here in the Bun and Run offering a burger that will stay with you longer than most girlfriends. On the other hand, you've got Sweet Sue here, if I may call you that, at the Butterfly Deli, offering no preservatives, no additives, no real food as we know it, and therefore no problems. Each one of them a healthy alternative to a decent meal.
Right.
So, the number to call incidentally for a takeout organic meal is 555-5624. That's 555-5624.
You know, like, if you call that number, you could take me out. But, like, burger heads and meat heads don't bother wasting your dime, because, like, I'm into veggies.
Okay, either turning into one or serving them, right? How nice. We'll be right back after a snack. See you in a minute. Thank you, Happy. You know, Martin, we've had you on the show here for a number of reasons tonight. One, it's kind of hard to find even relatively interesting warm bodies here in town. You came down close. The other is to help us kind of kick off a theme of sorts on the show with your interminable poem about Watergate. That's because my next guest was a chauffeur for the limousine company assigned to the White House during the Nixon years. I think we've all wondered what drove Richard Nixon to do what he did. We may not find that out, but we'll find out who drove him. Based on his first-hand observation, he's written a book with a rather startling theory that explains some of the mysteries of the Nixon years. Would you please join us in welcoming Mr. Earl Simmons? You've written this, huh?
Yes.
A chauffeur. A lot of people always say, what do you have to show for yourself? And you can show this. Mr. Simmons, why don't you tell us the theory behind your book?
Well, basically, Barth, it's this. Mr. Richard Nixon is dead.
Oh, boy. Mr. Nixon is dead?
Yes, he is dead.
My gosh, I've got to start following the news more closely.
Now, when do you say, actually, that Mr. Nixon actually passed away?
Mr. Nixon was killed by the Russian KGB in 1964, about 13 years ago.
KGB?
KGB.
I don't think we get that station here in Fernwood.
No, but you could kill it if it did. If Richard Nixon is dead, then who's the guy living in San Clemente walking the beach with a metal detector there looking for coins?
That is a man named Roger Bellman.
You mean I voted for 4 more years of Roger Bellman?
Who is Roger Bellman?
Roger Bellman is a double agent. He spent years learning Mr. Nixon's characteristics, his mannerisms, his speech patterns. Then, after disposing of Mr. Nixon in November of 1964, the Soviets paid Roger Bellman to impersonate Mr. Nixon. He looked almost exactly like Mr. Nixon.
Same gestures and everything? Oh,
They
Susan.
were very, very similar. Very similar.
I bet they chopped him up with a razor and put him down when he was shaving right down the drain.
I don't
It's a possibility.
No.
No.
No. But what they did do is substitute that Roger Bellman.
His own razor?
While he was shaving, unless it was an electric one, it'd take longer.
As I was saying, this man looked exactly like Richard Nixon. But to make certain that it was exact, they modeled a Nixon mask out of surgical plastic. And they grafted that mask onto Bellman's face.
Still, Earl, I've got to say, I find it a little hard to believe that this country would elect a president wearing a false face. Do you know what I mean?
All right. You watched the presidential news conferences in those years, didn't you?
Sure.
All right. Didn't you notice how continually the president's upper lip sweated?
You're right. Yes, I did.
Okay. I brought some pictures.
Can we see these? Are we getting in on this? Are we getting glare or strobing?
Now, is that Richard Nixon or Roger Bellman?
This is Roger Bellman.
Uh-huh.
Notice the sweaty upper lip,
Oh, I see.
the beady eyes,
Right.
and here is a close-up of
One beady eye.
beady eye. No human would sweat that much on his upper lip. Not the way that.
And you maintain it was the plastic face that caused the sweating?
Absolutely. The heat under that plastic face caused all that sweating.
Now, Mr. Bellman, did you personally know...
Simmons.
Mr. Simmons, you personally were with the president, though, President Bellman, during this time, driving him.
Yes, that's how I happen to know that
And
it
you
was...
could detect the difference.
Of course.
Okay, I still say that the president, the man that you drove, the man that was president, was Richard Nixon.
No way. No way. No American in his right mind could have screwed things up the way Roger Bellman.
You know, one way you could possibly find out who Richard Nixon really is? You have any thoughts on that? Find out if he really is Roger Bellman. We might be able to... Whoa.
Well, one darn good way is go up to the, if you're ever around the president, walk up and say, "Hey, Roger," and see if he turns around. I wonder who the heck Roger Bellman is now. His life is probably really up in a...
Absolutely. It just occurred to me that fun is where you find it. You know, when I had my... It's fun talking to all you people, but I had more fun just doing that before. I'm going to do it 2 more times. 1 more time, 2 more times. It was no longer an accident. We'll be right back after these important words. Stay with me. Tomorrow night.
Also appearing on tonight's show were Roger Steffens as Martin Worth, Susan Elliott as Susan Cloud, and Paul Marcello as Earl Simmons.
He's in general settlement.